EastEnders fans, welcome to this week's Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast, where this week we'll be discussing the episodes that aired between the 23rd to the 26th of June 2025. How are you all? Hope you're good. You can tell I've not done my tongue twister warm-ups today, Rob. I feel a bit...
Red lorry, yellow
New
lorry.
York.
That's it.
Joining me is Rob. Hello, Rob. How are you?
Hello there, everybody. You, late. How was your holiday, Ree? Was it nice?
Oh, it was beautiful. It was absolutely lovely. I had 10 days in Mallorca and I could go back. I loved it there. First time I've been, and it wasn't what I expected at all. It were actually, I don't know why I was expecting it to not be as nice as it is there, but it's absolutely lovely.
I mean, it's quite a popular holiday destination, so I imagine it's not bad, you know.
It's perfect for if you've got a kid. Is what I would say.
I won't go
if you're
there.
looking for somewhere, no. Well, you could still go. You could just go to places that are for adults, but it's perfect if you've got kids. They've got everything there.
Plenty of places like that, let me assure you. Did you get me a stick of rock?
No, I did look really hard.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah. I bet you did. I bet a whole day of your holiday was gone looking for my stick of rock, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So welcome back. It feels like ages since me and you were sat here and done this.
It does. Well, to be fair, it's been about 2 weeks, hasn't it?
It has. But we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the slightly late upload, but we're here now. All is well and dandy with the world. On to EastEnders. Busy old week this week.
Yeah, just a little bit. You can tell. Is it just me, or can you tell that we've got a new executive producer?
Can you tell what we know? I think it may be because we know. I'm sort of because I'm very. I figured that we would be quite sensitive to the changes coming in for a new producer, and I'm not noticing too many like vibe changes of the show at the minute. It still feels pretty sort of for me.
I did.
Did you? What did you notice?
Yeah. I can't even describe it. It's like you said, a vibe change. It's like a slightly different vibe. That's all I don't really know how to explain it. And also, like, I feel like we've gone from already we're not in the like block storytelling as much as we were. Like, we're fitting quite a bit more in each week, but it's only been 2 weeks.
It's only early days. Early days. Last week though, when you were away, someone kind of popped back. You know, you go away for 5 minutes and someone who's not been there for 20 years comes back.
Who said they were never going to come back, came back.
Literally said I'm absolutely no interest in coming back until Ree goes to Mallorca and then I'll come back. So what did you think of Zoe's return, Ree?
Do you know what I'm going to say now? If it had not been spoiled, that would have been the biggest surprise
it's always the way,
on the planet. It's
always
so annoying because it would have done so well. If we didn't know who it was, we would have definitely thought it was Hayley.
Yes.
They did so well in making you think that it would be if you didn't know who it was.
So the only thing that's
at one point.
Go on. All I was going to say is the only thing that stopped me from thinking it was Hayley. I was like, would they hold back on early upload if it was Hayley? Really?
Oh yeah.
I know she took over the entire show for a whole year, but I don't know if she'd have earned that.
Yeah, that is very true. I didn't think of that actually. But so what was the point in? Oh, do you know what? It's just annoying that certain newspaper spoiled it. I guess how would they have kept it secret there?
Well, it makes me not told anybody. Nobody would have leaked it, and it would have been a nice surprise at the end.
You know, but like, remember with Cindy and she were like going in disguise to the studio and stuff. It's making me think that Michelle Ryan must not be in some scenes for a bit of time in between with how they might have planned for it.
We don't know when she's back, but apparently it's a full-time return when she is back. So that'll be fun when we get back to that storyline. What are your thoughts on how they're going to deal with the whole sort of secret twin thing, Redwater? Is that going to be addressed at all, do you reckon?
Oh, no, I think they're just going to pretend it never happened.
Pretend it never happened.
100%. Yeah, I won't blame them.
Low key, fingers crossed, I've got to be honest. I feel like it's weird, though, because it was a big thing for Kat at the time, even outside of Redwater. It was like quite a considerable, because they had that... The whole "I became a total slag" thing, that was because she was ranting about nunnery, and that's why she went to that nunnery.
Was it there where she found out about?
It was there where I think she gave birth to the twins.
Yeah.
So that's why she went back there. So it's sort of like it was quite a big thing even within the show, even ignoring Redwater. It was quite a big thing that happened kind of on screen.
They literally never mentioned it.
Never referred to it again.
So why?
It'll be interesting to sort of see what occurs from it, won't they? We'll have to wait and see.
Think about it, she's technically given birth to 2 sets of twins, but never mentioned that ever.
Yeah, that's a busy fertility system, Mrs. Moon has going on there, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, Mrs. Moon, yeah.
Yes. So we'll see what goes on when Zoe returns. We don't know when that's going to be, but any theories on what do you think of this theory that she might be Joel's mum?
Well, I speculated it to you a bit
Mm,
ago, didn't I? Like, we were messaging each other, and I said,
yeah.
"Oh, I've seen this a
Psychic
few
Re,
times now
you know,
online." They weren't.
psychic.
I'd seen it online. I'm not going to take
Oh,
credit
okay.
for it.
Oh, okay.
Um, and you were like, "No, really?" But actually, I totally think it could be that because she was
Yeah.
pregnant,
Yeah.
and then the thing that she's trying to hide from everyone that she don't want to tell everyone is that she gave a
Yeah.
baby up for adoption, or so,
Yeah.
or that she left a child.
Yeah, and the Joel stuff was sort of the B storyline throughout the week as
Yeah.
well, wasn't it? So it's sort of like, is he there? I don't know.
And we had that line from him when Vicky
You ate my mother,
were like shouting at him. She
essentially.
went, "Yeah, you
Yeah,
ate my mother." So
essentially.
yeah,
Yeah,
bit of
yeah.
foreshadowing there. I wouldn't be
Ugh.
surprised. Do I hate it? Am I here for it? You know, we have these coincidences on Albert Square, like the fact that Rose was Cindy. So why not go
Yeah, I
for
mean
it?
those
And
sort of coincidences. I don't really
yeah,
don't bother me all that much because at the end of the
no,
day, it's a soap, and you kind of got
yeah,
to sort of suspend your disbelief a little bit sometimes, haven't you?
yeah, that's it. But I'm here for it if it is that because there's a lot of storylines to be had if she is his mum. Like, there's a lot, and then that Kat's actually his grandmother. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm here for it to be honest. If it is
Nanny,
that.
nanny cat. That's a mad
Nanny
thing to think about,
cat.
isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Well, it'll be about right though, because Zoe's old enough to have had a child
She
and
is.
everything by now. So yeah,
25th anniversary of the Slaters. Yeah.
yeah, it's got to
That's
be.
how
I
old we
think it
are,
is going to
Ree.
be.
That's how old we are.
Yeah, I know. All right, reminders.
Depressing. So,
Yuck.
that was last week. Lots and lots to discuss this week. So let's crack on with this week's Albert Square After Dark. Right, let's kick off this week. Let's talk about the Mitchells, first of all, the new Mitchells, I should say. So, half Christmas. Shut up. I've never heard such rubbish in my life. Nobody on God's green earth has ever done a half Christmas. I don't believe it for a second.
And do you know what? It's made me genuinely consider doing it.
Shut up. No, it hasn't.
Oh, I swear to God.
Really?
'Cause just think how much my daughter would love that at
She would, to
Christmas
be
halfway
fair.
through the year.
To be fair, you
Right,
can get pigs in blankets all the way through the year these days. Never used to be able to do
right.
that.
So I'm actually here for it, but then I was thinking about it, and I was like, I couldn't be bothered to put a Christmas tree up for a
No,
day
twice a
and then
year.
take it back down. Yeah, no, I couldn't be
Yeah,
bothered with that.
yeah,
That's the only thing. Like, I could put a couple of like a bit of tinsel up maybe,
yeah.
but I won't be bothered about doing that. But actually, it's quite a nice idea if you did it as a family tradition. If you don't get to see your family that much, and you all go, right, 25th of June, everyone book it off. We're gonna have an half Christmas.
I don't know though. Like, it's the idea of like, imagine now when we're in the middle of a heat wave and you're like slaving over like a big old turkey dinner or something in the middle of the day.
Well, you'd do a barbecue, wouldn't you, like they do in
That's
Australia for
true. That's
Christmas?
true. That's
A
true.
half Christmas barbecue, then you don't have to get all decorations. I'm here for it. I'm telling you, I actually think it's a
Well,
great idea.
well, in that case, if
I'm
but
sold.
according to Nicola's logic, all you need to do then is ruin this actual Christmas. Then you can make up for it the following year.
Yeah, 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 of course. Well,
I
much to
mean,
say about Nicola
I
and
mean, I've got to
Barney.
say, I'd quite like to have watched that Christmas. Whatever she was,
Yeah,
yeah, that would have been nice to see. But maybe that could have been an actual EastEnders Christmas, and then from here on in, she could have started going on about this half Christmas thing.
yeah, true. Yeah, oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, and then they could have made it a new tradition now.
Yeah,
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 but they're a bit
yeah.
older. I feel
Because I
like she did it
guarantee,
because they were kids.
yeah, because I guarantee this will never be mentioned again.
You reckon
we
they'll not
won't.
do it
We
again
will
next
not.
year?
Of course not, Reed. We will not be hearing about half Christmas this time on this in the summer. I'm telling you now.
Right, well, I'm going to see. Let's see.
Put a
Let's give it a
bookmark.
year and see.
Bookmark me. I'm telling you now, we will not be hearing about half Christmas ever again. Although, if they do decide to do it, that at least gives us two opportunities to have a turkey thrown across the table.
That's true. There you go. Oh, yeah, they didn't
So,
do it, did they?
no, swings and
She
roundabouts.
totally should have done that. As soon as Zach
As
walked
soon
in,
as
she
that
should
walked
have
in, lob a
yeeted
turkey
it
at
at
his
him.
head. Out! Yeah, that would have been all right.
I don't even think you can
So,
get turkeys in June, but yeah, go on.
that's true, and I think you can. Bit of Bird and Matthews would be all right. Anyway,
Yeah.
so this all kicks off because Nicola is trying to bring her family back together again.
Yes.
Harry is now acting more like I was expecting him to act, given everything that he discovered a
Yes.
few weeks ago. Like when the Mitchells weren't really the focus of the storylines, Harry seemed all right after everything that had happened. But now he's sort of kicking off again and causing trouble again. And he goes to Zach and says, "So, Zachy boy, Mum's planning this half Christmas thing. It's this really annoying tradition, obviously, but Barney wants you there. because, you know, it's not your fault what happened. So Barney would love to get to know you, and Zach's like, really? Also, he got Barney a Christmas card. Where the hell did he get that from?
I know, I did think that, but then I thought, I bet the Minute Mart have got a bit of a stash. You'd
Do you reckon?
reuse them, wouldn't you, next year? You'd just get them back out, yeah. I bet you can get.
I reckon so. I reckon some people. I don't reckon. I don't think that's entirely ridiculous though, because I reckon some people will have a little stash somewhere, like left
I
over from the
actually have a
previous
little
year.
stash left
There you
over.
go.
I've got one. There you go.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I could
There you
easily
go.
locate one if I
Yeah.
needed to.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you
There
go.
you go.
So Zach does show up like mid charades, all this sort of thing, or charades, charades or charades. How do you pronounce it?
Charades, I'd say.
Charades. Um, Honey and Billy doing like charades and like, you know, insulting Nicola by calling her the devil wears Prada and all of that kind of thing.
Fair.
You know, typical Honey. And Zach shows up like sort of like, hi, awkwardly. I'll have a pig and blanket, thanks very much. And Barney kind of is sort of upskittled by it all, obviously, because it doesn't take much to upskittle Barney these days, bless him. Nicola's really unhappy about it, and Harry's just sat there smirking. Now, what do you think? I mean, obviously, his aim was to sort of guess at Nicola, but that's kind of going with kind of giving Barney aggro as well, isn't it, if he's doing that?
Well, I do think his ultimate aim in inviting Zach was to get at Nicola, but I do think, like he was saying before, like you can't just keep pretending it's not happening. So I think what's happened, like you were saying before, how Harry was, you know, not really acting the way we thought he would. I do genuinely think that he was trying to help Barney while he come to terms with it, and I do think a part of Harry was like, you can't just keep putting your head in the sand now, mate. I do think ultimately it was because of Nicola there.
Yeah.
And trying to get one over on her. But you were right. And all I kept thinking this week when I was watching it was, God, Barney gets it all off Nicola, bless him, doesn't he? Like, just pretend it didn't happen. It's fine, keep calm and carry on. He's got that attitude from Nicola who just goes, well, we'll just sweep that under the carpet because I don't want to deal with it right now. And that's exactly what Barney's been doing.
Yeah.
And it's Harry who's made... Like I say, ultimately, I think it was to get at Nicola, but Teddy agreed as well. Like, well, actually, I do think he's done you a favour because you can't ignore it anymore. This has happened. You need to face it.
How are we feeling about Nicola never having heard of Sonic the Hedgehog?
Well, I don't think she's not heard of it.
I understand these things where, like, you know, the older parental figure is not going to have heard of like a thing that their kids have played with. But I'm not being funny. Sonic the Hedgehog's not exactly a young thing, is it?
I actually were thinking the opposite, because I was thinking the age she would have been when Sonic the Hedgehog was big, she wouldn't have been interested in Sonic the Hedgehog. But the main thing I was thinking was, does it show that she wasn't there necessarily as a mother?
True.
You would have known Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, I know all of the characters that my daughter likes.
Yeah.
It'd be weird if I didn't. So
I think that's more of a sign that she wasn't sort of... Imagine she was there at Barney sort of, because that would have been when her and Teddy were together, and she was trying to sort of pretend.
We're led to believe,
yeah.
Maybe she did just genuinely forget the name.
Maybe
she remembered a blue hedgehog. Fair enough.
No, well, she didn't even call it a hedgehog. She said it was a hamster. To be fair.
Yeah, but you can kind of see that as
she'll
have been sat on a Sega, will she? She won't have been sat on Sega playing Sonic the Hedgehog with him.
It's my first video game, Sonic the Hedgehog.
I think it was mine as well.
Yeah. I used to love that game.
Sega games.
Loved that game. It was a great game. Great game. Yeah.
I'm sure we've played it with each other before.
Oh, we definitely have. Definitely have, Rick. It was great fun. We had a marvellous time. That and Little Big Planet, that was our thing, wasn't it?
I love Little Big Planet.
We had days on that. We used to have days on that together. Do you remember?
Literally.
Great times. Great times. Anyway. Barney and Teddy then have a conversation, and I've got to say, fair play, Teddy. I think he handled this really, really, really maturely.
I think they've all had time to digest it now, and now it's like, come on, we need to just face up to what's happening. And I think it's right for Teddy to act like that though, because he's got to do what's best for Barney anyway. And I actually really enjoyed that Barney said to Zach, like, I don't need another dad. So he's still always going to have Teddy as his dad. It might change and he might decide, you know what, I'm all right with having two dads now. That's the way it is.
Let's be real, with this family, you can't quite tell what's going to happen next, can you? I can totally imagine in 2 weeks' time, Barney's going to be like, I want nothing to do with any of you. Zach, let's go to the gym. I can see, his family are a mess. His family are a mess. I quite enjoyed them going to Walford East because Nicola was trying to sort of like kind of what she's trying to do basically is sort of smother Barney to the point where he's
Yeah.
not thinking about anybody else.
Yeah.
And he's definitely not thinking about Zach. But the first thing Barney does is say, well, let's go to Walford East. And then there's that whole sort of barbing between Nicola
Yeah.
and Zach where he says, that's on the house. And Nicola's like, I can pay for my own son. Thank you very much. I quite wanted Zach to turn around at that point and go, yeah, so can I. You're paying. His is free.
That's what I was
Yeah,
expecting
that
that,
would have
but I
been the line.
think in the moment Zach were kind of like, let's maybe not say that in
Yeah.
front of Barney. Like he's the one trying to be kind of peacemaker
Yeah.
and not too overbearing on Barney as well,
Yeah.
because I don't think Barney's quite ready for him to refer to him as his son yet. Like
No.
Barney's trying to be like, let's be friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
we just share DNA.
I mean, what do you think the long term plan is for this story? Because I imagine that the whole point of it is for eventually Barney and Zach to, for that moment of Barney calling him dad is going to come at some point. But how do we get there?
I'm not quite sure. I'm wondering if Barney and Nicola need to have a falling out before that
Yeah,
happens. I think
Nicola needs
Barney,
to do something bad, doesn't she? Yeah.
I mean, Barney's got a wise head on his shoulders. He needs
Wisest
to
out of
see
all of them.
Nicola. Yeah, and he needs to see Nicola for what she is. Because I'm wondering if Barney is going to have the realization of, God, you've taught me some bad life skills along the way,
Mm,
like brushing everything under the carpet and pretending
yeah.
it's not happening. Like, no, you need to start facing up to it. I'm just trying to think. Maybe he'll find out that Nicola got Zach beaten up to try and keep it secret or something. So once Barney's got a bit closer to Zach, that's somehow going to come out, and then
Yeah.
he'll really resent Nicola, and
Yeah.
he needs to see her for the baddie that she is, like
Mm,
Harry does,
yeah.
because Harry sees it, but
Yeah,
Harry's a
I
bit
feel like
used to
her
it.
I feel like her and Harry's relationship is done. I don't think that they can
Yeah.
mend this now, surely can they? It feels like, you're basically were heavily involved in the death of my girlfriend. So I feel like their relationship surely is over, isn't it?
Well, Nicola don't help herself because she's never accountable for anything,
Yeah.
is she? Ever. She just gets on the defensive. Like all this with Zach. You'd be think like she's treating Zach like he's the bad guy. It's like Zach
Yeah.
didn't know. Like, why are
Yeah.
you being so harsh to him? This is all your fault, if anything,
Yeah.
Nicola.
Essentially.
Until she's going to take any accountability for anything, even with the Shireen stuff, I don't think
Mm,
that she could even. She wouldn't be able to really say sorry for it because she won't ever feel sorry for it. I don't
no.
think. I don't think she's ever going to feel sorry for what
Well,
happened.
exactly, because the whole point of the Shireen death thing was because Shireen found out about the Barney and Zach thing.
How? I still want to know how that. Oh,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
she
She
supposedly
told
got
her. She
drunk and
told,
blurted it
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. Because we
That's
all
a clumsy. That's too clumsy a Nicola for it to just be that.
you think she'd have been more careful. But the whole
Mm,
point is that, like, if that was the cause of death, essentially,
yeah,
then here we're still dealing with the fallout for it. So she's still living in a sort of state of denial about the whole thing. Like, she's aware of what she's doing, but like
yeah.
you say, is essentially blaming everybody else for it.
This is it. So unless she starts being accountable for anything, I don't think her and Harry can mend it, like you said.
And I feel like, do we want Nicola to be accountable for anything? Because that's kind of half of her fun, really, isn't it? The fact
No,
that this
because she's
woman, no, because
great.
she's great, and this woman will do absolutely anything. She's so
Whoa,
unpredictable.
whoa. Hold your horses. Something that
Nay,
might be happening with Nicola.
yes.
George?
George. So, I mean, what
I
do we
don't know how I
think?
feel about this.
George and Nicola. I mean, what I've noticed is that she tends to go for blokes that are a little bit nicer than she is. If you look at Ted, I mean, we've
Yes.
got Teddy's a bit of a dark horse, but
Mhm.
still, I'm guessing like tameable as far as Nicola's concerned. So nicer than she is. Then Zach, and now George. So I think that George kind of falls within the category of ones that, and it was the one Jack as well. She slept with Jack at one
Yeah,
point, didn't
Jack.
she?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
thinking about
yeah.
Jack. I just can't see George being interested in Nicola, if I'm honest. But then we have said that she's a bit more of a. She's like she is a bit Cindy, but worse.
Mm.
We're good.
That's an
So
interesting parallel.
rather
Yeah.
than them being
Nicola
besties, they're
versus
going to end up
Cindy. Yes,
feuding.
please. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
right, right. And
Yes.
Elaine, then you can have
Yeah.
Peggy's Barn versus the Queen Vic. Well, for a while we think,
Yeah.
and you're going to have the Albert against Harry's Barn as well with Cindy.
So
All of George's,
basically, what do we
yeah.
think of Nicola and George? Yes, bloody please, is what we're saying.
I still don't. I'm still not sure he would, but
Oh no, I couldn't give a
also
toss about that.
given
Now
what he
you've
loved
laid all
about
that out.
Cindy,
Yeah.
see,
Yeah,
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 writes
that's
itself,
good.
Rob.
Writes itself. The only other thing I wanted to say was I quite enjoyed Nicola throwing the Christmas tree around like Vanessa Gold did and Bobby in the fridge. That was quite good.
Yes, yes, I
People
did.
have
But
jumped on
then
that and thought that the sister that lives in Ibiza is Vanessa. I wouldn't hate it.
Interesting. No, I wouldn't hate that either. I could totally see that being
There
a
is
thing.
literally no connection other than the fact that she's blonde and threw something around
Yeah.
the house. But
And they've both had
hey,
some time on Albert Square now.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm here for that. But she went to punch Teddy.
she did. She did. No, she's not. She's a bad girl.
Interesting.
She's a bad girl.
Mm,
Bad girl.
well, you know how I feel about women being shown to it, men in soaps, but
Was that
imagine that
it? That
were
would be
other
the.
way around. Imagine it were other way around. We'd be going, oh, I feel right sorry for Nicola.
You
We would,
would, yeah.
though.
You would,
That will.
yeah.
Well, no, we all would.
We
But
all would.
anyway.
So there we are then. So that's going to be fun to sort of see play out. I mean, I love these new Mitchells. I don't care what anybody
So
says.
do I, and
I'm a big
a lot of
fan.
people don't like them
Yeah,
online.
well,
I don't understand it personally.
that's
But
their
there we
problem.
go.
Their problem. Sure, I mean, we like them. On to Nigel now. Interesting stuff here. He is continuing to deteriorate, and it's starting to put pressure onto Phil, isn't it? He's struggling with it.
Yes. I felt two ways about Phil and how he's handled some of these things this week. Because I know that he's stressed, but it's like, you're not making it any better by reacting like that, Phil. But I get it. It's because we're supposed to see he's stressed and he is being on brand for Phil.
Mm.
But it's like, you can't just be like, oh, we just spent past 3 days talking about it. Do you not remember? It's like, of course, he's got dementia.
Yeah, but I can imagine that that does get
I
frustrating
know.
at times, especially on
I
top of
know.
if it was just an isolated incident, you'd almost
Yeah.
probably sort of just almost be amused by it when you're in
Yeah,
that
yeah.
situation, wouldn't you? But when it's on top of everything else and the fact that you're
True.
worried that he might burn the house down at any moment, you walk into the kitchen and suddenly realise that he's
Yeah.
not there and he's wandering around
Hmm.
the square in bare feet. You know, it's I think it's adding it on and adding it on and adding it
Mm.
on that's adding the stress onto it, and that and the fact that Phil essentially admitted this week that obviously the main reason that he is so invested in this, not only because he cares for Nigel, obviously, but because Nigel is giving him the purpose he needs in order to
Yeah.
stop him spiraling again.
Is so he thinks, but then it's like a few people said to him, but it could go the other way around,
Mm.
and you're going to end up so stressed that you are going to spiral. I didn't quite understand. Like, I understand why people might not want to send a relative to like respite care, but it did get suggested to him, like, could you not get somebody like a carer to come in a couple of times a week? Do you think it's just a pride thing for Phil?
Oh,
Because
it's
I was like,
completely a
that
pride
seems
thing.
like the
Yeah.
perfect solution,
Yeah,
to be
because
honest.
he's wanting to throw himself into it, the whole thing, and I
Mm,
think he feels that if any of it is taken away from him, then he's wanting to distract himself, essentially, isn't he? He's wanting to keep
yeah.
his mind completely and utterly on the job of looking after Nigel, and I feel like
Mm,
if any of that is taken away from him, then that kind of leaves him sort of in limbo, and he's not going to know kind of what to do with his life. And it's
mm,
interesting that the way that Nigel is slowly starting to sort of fade away, essentially, isn't he? At this point, he's still like capable of kind of he's not it's not like he's in the final stages of it now or anything,
yeah.
but it's starting to take more of an impact on his life. Once again this week he gets Lexi and Claire confused. That seems to be a thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can understand it with Lexi and Claire though, because I can kind of see why you might think they're both blonde, aren't they,
Yeah,
little girls? So I can
yeah.
see why you would. And I think it's because he had Debbie on his mind in that
Mm.
moment, and then all of a sudden Lexi sat down next to him on the bench. So I kind of get that
Yeah,
why he keeps doing it. But yeah, I think again Phil went in quite harsh there when he was like, "You can't say that to Lexi," and
yeah.
to me, it were obvious that Lexi understands the situation and
Mm.
that she weren't going to take offence to it anyway.
It's funny, isn't it? They always try and wrap Lexi up in cotton wool, but actually she's kind of got a fairly good
Yeah,
idea about what's going on most of the time, hasn't she?
yeah, exactly. But yeah, maybe that is what it is.
Yeah.
He were trying to be nice for Lexi, but I think underestimating that Lexi understands the situation a bit more than he thought.
Yeah. So yeah, he kind of gets himself all confused because it's obviously Debbie's anniversary this weekend.
Yes.
And he is going through that thing where, he sort of rediscovers that Debbie's dead all over again as though it was new information and then is sort of grieving for that.
Horrible.
I thought it was quite clever in order the way that they framed the sort of way that he told Lexi that her mum was dead because he was sat on a bench just like he was when he told Claire that Debbie had died. So they sort of
Right.
refreshed that. I thought that was quite well done, that bit. And Kat's obviously kind of really fretting about this because now Alfie's gone to Australia. She's hasn't got a storyline at the moment, so she's sort of getting involved with Phil again. And I'm pleased actually that Phil and Kat are able to have this relationship because it did feel kind of quite weird that Kat had zero involvement in any of Phil's storyline whatsoever.
Yeah, I know what you mean because at the end of the day, they were very close when they were married and
Yeah,
everything. And I think mind you, he doesn't see the boys anymore, does he? I don't think. He was for a
No,
while after they split and then nothing. But yeah, it's nice to see them being amicable. You don't think it's going to lead to them getting back
I
together again, do
don't
you? Or an
think so.
affair?
No, I don't think so. No, I feel like
No.
she's quite dedicated to Alfie. But I've got absolutely no issue. I think again, it's that sort of thing that because Sharon's not there at the moment,
Yeah, I was just
it's so
thinking the exact
yeah. I
same.
feel like
Yeah.
Sharon would have been Kat this week if
Yeah, you're
everything was
right.
going
Yeah,
normal. You know what I mean?
totally.
But fortunately, I think Kat worked quite well in that role, and I feel like it's kind of quite a credit to both the characters that you can believe that they will be able to have a sort of semi-mature relationship after divorcing, where she can say,
Yeah,
"Yeah, I'm still worried about you. I'm still, I was
yeah,
with you for a while. I married you. I still care about you,
yeah,
and I'm worried that you're going to spiral from because of this."
yeah.
So she suggests giving Julie a call.
Yes, she does indeed. And Phil keeps talking about the pact that him and Nigel had, and I can
Mm,
understand why he'd be conflicted
yeah.
about calling her.
Well, the risk is that Julie will kind of come in and Nigel will decide ultimately, I think I may be better off going home with Julie. She's my wife, and that
Oh,
leaves
I didn't think of
Phil on his
that.
own again.
Yeah, I'd not considered that. So that might be another reason why you don't want to tell
Mm,
Julie.
yeah.
I don't know though, because for me, if I'm totally honest, I know they had this pact and everything, but if I'd have been Phil, I would have told Julie a while ago.
Yeah,
I'm
so
sorry,
would
I
I.
would have I just wouldn't have agreed to the pact. I'd have been like, no,
No,
or,
it's
not that I would have like overruled Nigel, but I'd have been trying to convince him more
mm,
rather than just agreeing. I'd have been like, I really think you should tell her because I personally don't agree with Nigel's logic of I'm just going to run away, her not have any clue until she gets a phone call that it's my funeral, and then she finds out I've had dementia, and then
yeah,
she's going to live with guilt for the rest of her life
yeah,
after it.
yeah,
I just don't think he thought it through very well, but he wouldn't be on the square otherwise, would he? So,
exactly. And we wouldn't have Nigel and his jaunty tie
yeah,
collection to
of
enjoy.
course.
And spoiler siren, Nina, Julie is coming back. So
Yes.
yes, about
Yes,
time, I
good.
think. About
I
time.
agree.
So how is this going to play out, do we think? Because obviously she's got to discover that Nigel has dementia because she has
Mm,
no idea why he went away in the first place. So she's going to arrive on the
right.
square and suddenly see because with the whole pictures on the fridge thing, I feel like he was struggling to remember who Julie was, and frankly,
Which one was which kind of
yeah, well,
thing.
frankly, as far as Nigel was concerned, I think that he was sort of going, I know that's Debbie, and that looks like Elton John on the picture there. So I'm kind of confused. What? Why is there a picture of Elton John on the fridge, Phil? So she did look like Elton John in that picture,
Yeah, a
didn't
little
she?
bit.
She
Yeah, yeah,
did,
yeah, I can
yeah, a
see
little
that.
bit. So when Julie does arrive, is he going to remember who
Yeah.
she is straight away?
Yeah. Well, I think he might in one moment and then forget
Mm.
in the next moment. He's going to
He's
probably keep calling her Debbie, I would have
definitely going to get her
thought.
confused with Debbie, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so
I
sad.
I think I don't think Phil's going to call her. And now that you said that added layer of, then he's going to think that Nigel might leave him if he calls her. I'm wondering if it's going to be Kat who calls her.
Mm,
She's going to somehow find a number and contact her, and it'll be Kat who tells her. And then
yeah.
it'll take the guilt away from Phil for breaking the pact, kind of thing. Then he
Yeah.
won't have to feel guilty that he's gone against Nigel because it'll be
Yeah.
Kat who did it. And
Yeah.
then there'll be no love lost between Kat and Phil if he's angry at her about
True.
it. Then she can go on a merry way and go, well, I don't care because I think he needed that in that moment and I've done
Mm.
it. And there you go, deal with it,
Yeah, true.
possibly.
I do think the Nigel stuff is some of the stronger stuff the show's doing at the moment. I absolutely love the
Yeah,
Nigel storyline, and obviously Paul Bradley is
definitely.
playing it so well, isn't he? He's great.
So well, I definitely think he's going to be the Christmas Day
I reckon
death.
it's going to be yeah, because that's
Yeah,
about the saddest thing they could possibly do, isn't it, on
yeah,
Christmas Day this
right.
year? Yeah,
Yeah,
I reckon we could easily get at least another 6 months out of this storyline. So yeah, for sure.
exactly. Yeah,
Maybe New Year's Day I can see because I can see them doing like a last Christmas with
true.
Nigel and then maybe killing him
Yeah,
off New
mate.
Year's Day.
Yeah, around that time of year, then I
Yeah,
think it's going to happen.
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Maybe even to the anniversary. I mean, I know they don't do big things about the anniversary when it's not a big anniversary, but they'll
No, but I
sometimes
can.
sort of address it, and killing Nigel off around that time would feel kind of appropriate,
It
wouldn't
would
it?
be quite fitting, but I feel
Mm.
like with the way that it's deteriorating, it's going to be more Christmas time
Yeah, you kind of
because,
kind of got to wonder how much further is he going to be able to fall
mm,
realistically before.
yeah,
Yeah, as
I'd
long
be
as I don't rush
interested
it.
in him. I'd be interested in them going down like the carer route and stuff though as well with him
Mm.
and like actually seeing that on a soap rather
Yes.
and just showing like family that it is okay if you need help and stuff rather than showing that you do have to necessarily I know it's everyone's choice and things like that but
Mm.
like I'm going based on my own granddad's experience and it came to a point where we had to go we need help we can't between us all like we didn't leave I mean we're a bit different we didn't live close by
Mm.
granddad were a nobody he would not leave his house like he'd not left his house in about 50 years, if you know what I mean. Like, never left, his home city kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if they do explore that a little bit, but I'm not sure whether they will. I think
No, I
it'll
think
be a
you're
case
right.
of the community probably rallying around.
Yeah, realistically, but I think you're right. I think it would be nice to sort of see that sort of realistic side because they did it quite well with Lola stuff. I thought,
Yeah, true.
like showing the more sort of like care and like what she has to
Mm,
go through in order to be looked after side of things, and it does help people that are in that situation as well if they're
yeah,
watching it and sort of seeing the options available to them. Right?
yeah, exactly. That's what I think anyway,
Yeah.
but whether they do that, I'm not sure.
We shall have to wait and see. Right, ladies and gents, let's move on now to Vicky and Bernie. Right, okay, so Ree, can you explain to me? I know people in the comments section sometimes love telling us when we get things wrong.
We never
So
get things wrong,
well,
wrong,
now
wrong.
and
We
again,
have great memories,
in a
and
blue moon, it does happen every so often. And on this occasion, I feel like I have absolutely no idea when Vicky started doing this thing with the Panasar's finances. When did this become a thing?
I don't know either. It's like we just randomly got a scene this week, and her and Bernie sat there doing the Panasar
Yeah,
accounts together, and it's like, oh
yeah,
right, is this a thing?
that's a thing then.
But like in the back of my head, I'm trying to like remember. Oh, was there a little scene where she like
I
went and knocked on the door and like, oh, do you need an accountant? Because like I do that
yeah.
now,
I feel
and
like
I
it
don't
must because
know.
we haven't seen Bernie in ages and ages and ages, and I
No.
feel like it must have been a thing that when Ross and Vicky were like fretting about jobs, and he was busy getting a job at a
Mm,
like with the builders before all the Mitchell stuff kicked off. I feel like there must have been like a throwaway line where Vicky said to him, "Oh, and Bernie's giving me a job, so we're okay," or
yeah,
something like
maybe.
that. You know what I mean? That I've forgotten
And
about.
we were just not really sunk in because then she didn't do
Yeah,
anything
because
after
everything,
it or
yeah,
something.
yeah, and other things, other shiny things happened on the screen, and we forgot about
Mm.
it. That kind of
Is
thing.
Vicky the new Reese?
Well, I think so. I think it seems
Yeah.
like she's quite happy to do dodgy finances as well.
Well, yeah, that would make
Not
sense for a character, I think.
not as willing, as it turns out, as Bernie is prepared to do dodgy finances. Now, I've got to say, there's an
Well,
element of this where I'm just sort of like, I kind of don't blame Bernie for this whatsoever.
well, no, neither do I, if I'm
No,
honest with you.
fair
Well,
play.
the only logic in it is like what happened with Suki and Nish,
Yeah,
related to the Keanu
yeah,
incident.
yeah, yeah,
So I can see that as her justification for it.
yeah. Absolutely, yeah,
Otherwise, otherwise it is shady because, in fairness, the rest of the family haven't done anything to her. It's Suki
no.
and Nish that she's kind of getting revenge on a little
And to
bit.
be fair, a lot of this money is for a Nugget and a Varney, isn't it?
Yeah, so in
And
that
they've done
regard,
nothing wrong to Bernie. So fair play, really.
yeah,
But this obviously, I think, is leading into Bernie's exit, isn't it? This is where
yeah,
this is heading. And
and I feel
Felix's exit.
Felix is
Yeah, they're definitely going to go off together. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I think what's going to happen is Bernie's going to still not take to Johnny, and
Mm,
eventually she's going to crack and tell Felix the real reason why, and say
mm.
it's because his mum killed my brother and he helped cover it up. Felix is going to be absolutely appalled and devastated and run off with her. There we go.
Am I the only one that's a little bit surprised that she's not told Felix this yet?
Well, she's not told anybody yet, as far as we
No.
know, which is
This is
bizarre in itself.
this is the problem with Bernie, isn't it? That she doesn't
Yeah,
really make sense anymore. So it does kind of,
no,
as much as I do love Bernie and as much as I love
yeah,
Claire
same.
Norris as an actress, the problem is Bernie doesn't make a lot of sense as a character these days, does she? So it is kind of
No,
understandable that they've sort of said, right, I think this is the end of Bernie now. I get it completely. But moments like this week where her and Felix are having that conversation and Felix is sort of like trying to understand why Bernie doesn't like Johnny. It's sort of like,
yeah.
actually, this is a storyline. This could have been okay. This could have been a way for you to build these two up properly.
Yeah, I agree. In a way, though, it's also a chance for her to have done something rather than
Yeah.
leave. I feel like what they should have done with Bernie is given her quite an extended break after she found out everything.
Yes, absolutely. And then come back and then done some really
Yeah.
extended revenge storyline against all the different
Yes.
six. So this could
Yeah.
be this stuff she's doing with the Panasar finances could be to get at Suki. You
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
the whole thing with Felix could be a way of getting at Linda and Johnny at the same
Yeah.
stretch. There's
Yeah.
easily ways that she could have got back at Sharon. So
Yeah.
there was the stuff there to do, I think.
Yeah.
But I do feel like they're sort of limited in what Bernie can do. It's just frustrating that this is the most stuff that Felix certainly has had to
Yeah,
do.
I've actually been loving
Yeah,
seeing Felix as well.
yeah.
It's really annoying
And
because
I'm
he's really good and he fits in on the
he
square.
does, yeah, and I'm really enjoying him and Johnny together, to be fair. I think they
Yeah,
really
same.
work. It's kind of quite a
Yeah,
sweet relationship that they're starting to develop there.
I agree. I agree. But not for long.
Not for
It
long.
is frustrating that they've done this and then he's
Tale as old
leaving.
as
Like,
time.
why?
Tale as old as time, isn't it? Tale as old as time. Quite often this happens with characters. They'll suddenly think, right, we need to think of an exit storyline, and it's actually a way. The exit storyline they give the character is actually some lovely development that could have sort of
Yeah,
led somewhere eventually. But
yeah,
hey ho, it is what it is. But yeah, so Bernie basically is fiddling with the Panasar finances and basically doing sort of like invoicey type things, and then sort of pocketing the cash, isn't she? So she's
yeah. It
saying that
seems
like
like it.
so she's saying like the restaurant needed like a new boiler put in or something, and putting that in the invoices, and then taking the money that it would have cost to have the boiler
Yeah,
fixed
she's
and all
been
that kind of
doing it
thing.
all through the GP surgery, and she's saying
Yeah,
that they've had all these
yeah,
works done. And then so I would assume that she's made a fake account under that business name or
probably,
something. I don't know how she's
probably.
pocketing the money.
I wouldn't know, Ray. I don't do things like this. I thought
Well,
you
I
might
do
know.
do accounting for
You do,
businesses and
oh,
that
you
kind
do
of
dodgy
thing.
accounts. What do you do to
Not
do make
dodgy. I
dodgy
was going to say
accounts?
not the dodgy side, but
When you're
no, but this is
pocketing
why
all
I
the money from the
can't.
bar.
But this is why I can't figure it out because even though she is in charge of like Panasar finances, surely
Mm.
they've also got access to the accounts and they
Well,
could see for themselves that it's going to this company
well,
and that
Ravi
they could
apparently
all go, well,
has,
hang on.
because Ravi's busy buying posh cars this week.
But this is what doesn't make sense. So surely you're spending that money from the business account, unless that's Walford East and that's separate, because I don't feel like
Yeah,
Nish had anything to do with Walford East. But even
no.
still, I would have thought that they'd have access, but clearly not. Maybe they're just trusting Vicky enough to go, oh, well, she's keeping an eye on things. I don't know.
Unwise. What I love is the fact that like the past few weeks I'd love someone to be able to tell me like what happens behind the scenes with stuff like this, like vehicle hires. Like in the past few weeks, we've had limousines, we've had buses, and now we've got this new
Yeah.
car that Ravi's got. I wonder how that works because these none of that's going to be cheap, is it?
Well, like you said, mate, yeah, but
Just hire it.
that was one scene. That was one
Yeah, just
scene
for
that we
one
had that
scene,
car
exactly. Like,
in.
where'd you get
Yeah.
that from? Yeah, I just think it's interesting that the big bus,
Or
the limousine. I just wonder
yeah.
how it works.
Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Maybe they just keep hiring it every
Yeah,
so often
it's
or
a
something.
hire
Because
thing.
I wondered this as well. Because that car, it felt like we were seeing it just as a point of like,
Mm,
oh look, the dodgy, so that Vicky might
yeah,
think it. But it's like,
yeah.
but now he's got to have that car the entire
Yeah,
time,
that's his
surely.
car now, surely. Unless he has
Yeah.
to sell it because Bernie's nicked all their
Hmm.
money. I imagine that's probably what's going to happen.
Maybe they do just buy the cars.
Yeah.
Maybe they put like a. Maybe they take the reg off and put a different reg plate on, so it seems
Well, it's the
like it's
same.
newer.
It's the same with like police cars and ambulances, isn't it? Like, where do they
Oh
get them
yeah,
from?
true. Yeah, they must be. Well,
Presumably they have like a
you can buy old ambulances.
yeah, and then still you say stick a different reg number plate on it or something.
Yeah,
I'd love to know all that sort of thing. Someone tell
yeah,
us if you know, please. That'd be great.
yeah,
But yeah, presumably this is all heading towards Bernie and Felix's exit. Like you say,
yeah.
I'm assuming what's going to happen is that Bernie is going to tell Felix eventually exactly what happened with
Hmm.
Keanu, and Felix and Bernie are probably going to leave together, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that's exactly
Yeah.
what's happening. But meanwhile, Vicky's found out. Vicky's figured out that it's Bernie who's
Yes.
doing the dodgy invoices. So what we're going to have in between
So
with
how
Vicky
is
and Bernie?
yeah? So is Bernie going to leave with cash in her pocket or not? Do we think, or is she going to be run out the square?
I think Vicky's going to be like, if you want me to keep your secret, you better give me some of that cash. So she's not going to have all of it, Bernie. I don't think. So
Yeah.
Vicky's probably going to. Well, surely, but then like she's going to blackmail Bernie or she's going to. Because I can't see Vicky being that honest, but at the same time, there was a comment between her and Ravi where he said, you know, you file our taxes now.
Mm,
That's a huge responsibility,
it
especially as
really
an
is.
accountant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she can't. It is quite a lot on her shoulders to be going, oh, well, I'm going to put that through, even though I do know that it's dodgy, especially because it looks so dodgy.
Yeah.
Like, it's really apparently dodgy invoice. So,
Like you're the first person that comes back to
yeah,
if any
exactly.
eyebrows
Yeah.
are raised. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, not even the Panasars, because they'd be like, well, you're an accountant. You took
Yeah.
responsibility. Like, you're
Mm.
accountable
You're
for those
accountable.
accounts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, I don't know, but knowing Vicky, she might go, oh, Bernie, let me do it with you because they're like really bait. So, why don't we
Yeah.
make them less bait and do it
Yeah.
properly? Something like
Which
that.
for overseas listeners, bait means
Really obviously dodgy, I guess. Yeah.
blatantly, isn't it? It's short for
Blake.
blatantly,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
blatantly. Bait. That's right, bait.
It's not, it's actually, it
Is it
comes
not?
from like fish bait
What?
and being bait for something.
Oh,
But now it's changed to mean different things along the way, I think.
interesting. There
Yeah.
you go. Languages
Etymology.
with re. There we are. So, let's now talk about. There's two more storylines to talk about. I think we can kind of put them together
Yeah.
with Patrick's party and the uncertain future of the Vic. Happy birthday to Patrick, 85 years young. He doesn't look a day over 75, does he?
Oh, do you know what?
He
He
looks
does
at tweet.
remarkably well.
He does. He
Rudolph
does.
Walker, he does an
I,
incredible job.
I'm not being funny. I remember not that long ago when Yolandi first came back, they were doing that whole thing where Yolandi nearly left and Patrick ran across the square at one point. Do you remember?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he ran
yeah,
across.
yeah. God, he
He
does
ran
well.
there. Yeah, he's all
Yeah,
right. It's Patrick, 85
I
years. He's
love
doing
Patrick.
well. I
He's one of my
know.
all-time faves.
I
Actually, do you know?
know.
I'm going to
Yeah, I
say it.
love him.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. I love the bones off the man. I tell you.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
So the Trumans are attempting to do a surprise party.
Yes.
And obviously, that's not going to work because it's Albert Square, and so
Can't
Patrick
keep a secret on
can't keep
Albert
a
Square.
secret. You're
Come
having a
on.
laugh. So quite quickly, Patrick does find out about this, but he's kind of got to act surprised, and the party itself seems to go all right until they decide to leave Denzel in charge of babysitting the kids. And I think anybody could have said that's a terrible idea. Don't do
Yeah.
that. Don't do that. He's a
It also didn't
teenager.
make. It also just didn't make sense to me that Denzel wouldn't be at the party and the kids because it were all outdoors anyway.
Yeah.
Like the majority
Yeah,
of
they were
it. But
essentially having a
yeah,
street
anyway.
party, weren't they?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
could have
But
just brought the
anyway,
kids with them, but none of them were interested in that. They all
But it
wanted
was
to get
supposed to be a.
battered.
It was supposed to be a classy event, though, wasn't
Yeah.
it? So I guess maybe they didn't want the kids at the classy
Yeah.
event they were
It weren't that.
expecting.
It definitely didn't turn into a classy
Way
event.
more fun though.
I think it looked great. I'd have enjoyed that night.
Yeah.
So what happens is that Denzel decides, right, well, now I've got the house to myself. Mates round, house party, woo, 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 woo,
Of
woo.
course. Typical
Because
teenager, brilliant.
typical
of course.
teenager. Did you ever do this? Like have
What?
secret house parties that your parents didn't know about when you were a
No.
teenager? I've
Yes.
never done. Did you?
All the
Did you?
time.
Did
All
you?
the
I
time.
never did
Not
that.
when I wasn't babysitting minors though at the time. But
No,
yeah.
no. You
We
weren't
all
like
used to
getting
take it
pissed
in
when you were supposed
turns if we knew his parents were doing something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd ever have done a thing where I was supposed to be looking after a load of kids, stuck fireman
No.
Sam on for them, and then had a load of Sambuca in the
No,
background.
like,
I don't think I would have done that.
like genuinely 100% not. Like, I had a friend who had younger siblings, and if we ever babysat, we would have never done something like that.
No,
in
I think that's
fairness,
I think
so.
that's genuinely dumb to do
Yeah,
to do that.
I
You
agree.
are
Yeah,
all idiots, kids.
yeah,
So this does happen. So they've got all the kids around as well. Like basically any kid that was available that day for
right.
filming.
Yeah,
They've got like Raymond and Bert and Ernie, and I think there was a couple of other kids there as well. Like,
Pearl.
Pearl was there as well, wasn't she? So what happens is they get the kids around. Like so, there's Nugget, Avani. I think Ricky's there as well, isn't he? You know, there's
No,
a few of
Ricky
them.
weren't there.
Is
We were
Ricky not
milking, I
there?
think, about
No,
Lily
yeah.
and Charlie or something. Yeah,
About time he showed some attention to that. But where have you took my kid? That would be nice to know.
yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But they get pissed. But Tommy brings Joel round. Now there was a thing earlier on in the week where Joel is attempting to sort of like. Don't get me wrong. I don't feel sorry for him in the slightest, but he's kind of acting all sort of hurt and upset as to why none of the kids like him, isn't
Yeah.
he? And like he's trying to kind of get involved in all their plans, and they're sort of like sod off. I've got no interest in hanging around with you
Yeah.
whatsoever, you weirdo. But then Tommy, being literally Joel's only friend at the minute, is sort of like, "Oh, come anyway." Which
Yeah. Well, actually, I think at first Joel like, "Oh, get me in." Tommy like they said they don't want you, and he like, "Well, we can change their mind or something." And I don't even think that Joel particularly wants to be the mate. I think it's just the fact that Tommy got invited and he didn't, and he like,
yeah,
"Well, what am I going to do if Tommy's there? Then I want to
yeah.
go. If Tommy's going, then I want to go."
Mm.
I don't. And of course, he decided that he wanted to inverted commas complete the set with Amy.
Yeah, that's weird.
So
Isn't it?
gross.
He's such a gross kid. He really, really is.
I
Played
love that
amazingly
Tom-
well, I will say. I think he's doing an incredible job.
Yes, he is doing a good job,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, fair play.
Max Murray, I
But
think
I
it's
also,
called. Great
yeah.
performance. Yeah.
Did you see the scene with obviously he were trying to kind of like chat Amy up and she like cringe? But I feel like Tommy tried to protect Amy in that scene.
Yes, he
Didn't
did.
he?
Yeah, he was trying to sort of like, make her walk away, which is
Yeah.
good to see from Tommy because I feel like those moments are going to become much rarer quite quickly. That I feel like Joel is very quickly having an influence on Tommy and like talking about and already we're hearing stuff from Joel like saying about like being a proper man and all of this kind
Well,
of thing.
do you know what? I've got a new theory now, I think, how it's gonna go with Tommy and Joel, right? Because I think Tommy does know right from wrong. And I don't think he's gonna get fully
Converted.
like yeah, I don't think he is. And I think he's gonna actually end up fighting Joel and see him doing something that he shouldn't be doing and end up getting into a situation and actually end up really hurting him or something and being like, no, that's wrong and sticking up for someone. I could be wrong, but
I don't know. I'm trying to think about it because I can see it. I can see it either way. To be honest with you,
Mm,
I can see a window where your idea is right, but at the same time, I can also see because the point
yeah,
is that they're talking about how easily it is for kids to be dragged into this world,
yeah,
aren't they? And I feel like Tommy, more than most of the kids on the square, is easily influenced by stuff like this, especially
true.
when, if you bear in mind everything that he always put Phil on a pedestal over Alfie. So when a kid like Joel comes into his life, I feel
Mm.
like he's going to sort of be magnetized towards someone like Joel.
I know what you're saying, but I still think like I feel like Tommy's really split because he does like Joel, but he doesn't like, but he
Mm.
does know that a lot of the things he's doing is wrong. And
Yeah,
right now, I don't think he's fully converted because like even with that video like last week with
yeah,
the girl and how Joel
yeah,
felt
yeah,
her
yeah,
up on the tube,
yeah,
Tommy knew that were wrong and he was telling him to stop in the moment. And I think he's going to watch him take
yeah.
it too far,
He
and I think he'll
did.
intervene
He did.
personally.
He did say that that was too far. But then, in the same breath, he also went back to Kat and was making some fairly light, but still sexist comments.
True.
So
True. So yeah, it's
it doesn't
infiltrating a little bit
yeah,
at
it
least.
doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to start, feeling women up in public places
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
their role in society.
Mm,
But he is also starting to sort of take on, I think subconsciously, sort of take on some of the
yeah,
ideas that Joel is sort of
yeah,
starting to put into his head.
yeah. Fair. Be interesting to see which way he goes though, and which way they take it at least,
Great
won't it?
story, bloody good story.
You invented it, Rob. Not gonna lie, you did
You
invent that
are
storyline. But there we
welcome,
go.
everybody. Taking credit for it. I don't care. I
I
love
think
it.
you
It's great.
should. I
Yeah, I think
agree.
I am. Yeah, it's great. So now, secondly, did Joel do all this deliberately? Because he and Denzel go across to get these jugs, and he sort
Yes.
of because there was a thing because there was a glare that Joel did when Denzel
Yes.
turned around to him.
When he ran
Yeah, yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, because when they were first talking about like coming around, and Joel was like, "Oh, can I come?" and Denzel turned around to him and said, "Over my dead body, mate."
Yeah.
There was a moment where Tommy walked off and like Joel was literally just glaring after Denzel, which makes me
Mm,
wonder if he also. I mean, it was a loose plan to say the least, but it worked. And I
mm.
wonder if this was actually kind of deliberate by Joel the way that this all played out to get Denzel into
I
trouble.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think he was intending for the kids to be involved, but I do think he were intending to get Denzel in trouble somehow
Yeah.
along the way. Because, like I said, I don't feel like he genuinely wants to be their mates. I feel like it was just because he wanted to be involved because of Tommy. But I
Mm.
feel like Denzel, well, and Nugget actually, and Joel, I feel like they've all got enough beef with each other that
Mm.
he would want to just take revenge in whatever way he can. But then he's obviously so clever that he can
Mm.
make it look like other people might not spot it.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
he's
know, but
clever.
I don't think he wanted to deliberately like I don't know whether he deliberately thought, oh I know, we'll get these drugs and I'll leave it in the sight of all the little kids who
Yeah,
might go and drink it. But I think it
yeah.
worked in his favour, put it that way.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Wronging.
But yeah, he's wrong. He is. He's a horrible kid, isn't he? He really, really is. He's a
I remember when he first came, like, oh, I don't think he'll be that mature, wronging.
yeah. The curtains. I was wowed over by the
Must have
Joe
been.
Wicks curtains. I was sort of like, he'll be all right. He'll be a
No, it
nice
can't be
kid.
that bad.
He'll
It
be a
can't be that
nice
bad. He's got
kid.
curtains.
He'll be a nice kid.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible judge of character because we just had all this with Reese. And I was like, Reese is all right. I don't know what you're all
Well,
on about.
same with Reese.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mhm. So that's going to be interesting. However, what occurs because of the
Yes.
fact that this happens, because essentially the alcohol was gotten from Elaine, she basically said to Joel and Denzel, have a glass, that's fine, but then they nick the jug. So it's not,
Was it from Elaine though, really?
well, kind of
I'm
indirectly.
conflicted.
I agree with you. It's not something that they should lose their license over, put it like that. But it's,
I mean, she should have never told them they were allowed a glass. Do not
no,
get me wrong. That was
so that's
so
that.
irresponsible. But that's so irresponsible when you're a license holder as well.
I have
Like
a
you,
feeling you'd kick off about this. Yeah, I did have a
right?
feeling. Yeah.
No, it's really bad that she said, "Yeah, have a glass," but equally, she didn't say to them, "Yeah, take two jugs," which is what
No.
they actually did do.
And then didn't notice that the
Really, they
two jugs had
could have.
disappeared.
Well, they could have really just walked off with the jugs and not had that conversation with Elaine, if I'm
Could have
honest
done.
with you.
Well, yeah, that would have been the wise thing to do.
Right. But
um,
now Elaine's getting the blame. And
mm,
actually, I don't. Yeah, she shouldn't have told them they could have a glass,
yeah,
but she didn't tell them take two jugs either.
no.
So,
So they're in trouble. The Vic is in trouble this week because of that, and
well, yeah.
that does not help the situation that is unfolding at the Vic at the moment. Elaine is losing her marbles over this whole George thing, isn't she? She really is.
And how do you feel? Do you feel she's justified? Because at the end of the day, she's the one who did cheat.
Right. I mean, I could. Yeah. So
It's the whole
where are
argument
you
of
with
the
this?
emotional
Yeah.
cheating and the
Emotion.
physical cheating again,
Here's
isn't
the
it?
thing. A couple of people said online to me, and I didn't think of it like this, and I think it's a genuinely fantastic point that
Hmm.
actually what George was doing was having an emotional affair rather
I
than
said
just.
this as
Oh,
well
did
on
you?
the last. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, did
Thanks,
you? I'm
Rob.
so
Cheers for
sorry. You
that.
must have said it off mic, so I didn't remember. But my point is, like,
Yeah,
emotional affair. Actually, that's a
yeah.
lot harder to sort of justify, I think, than
Than a one night stand.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not saying either of them are right, but I think that I could see Elaine's point of view. Put it like that.
So can I, but also I think she's forgetting that she did physically cheat as well.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
whilst I get it, I think they both should just be holding their hands up and going, "We've both done wrong.
Mm,
We've both got, blame to take for this relationship ending."
mm.
But ultimately, I think she's been a bit too much on a high horse about it. Because in a way, what she's doing is going, "Well, you had an emotional affair, so of course I went and had a one night stand." Well, no, you should have probably had a conversation and ended things first. Then, if that's how, I don't know, it's a bit like the whole Ross and Rachel had a break thing, which is what you said. Because I remember our
Oh,
conversations, Rob,
good. Well, I
and that's
clearly I
what you
said.
said.
You know why you remember that? Because I said that on mic. That's why you remembered that.
I'm sure I said it on mic,
All
but
right,
let us
fair
know in
enough.
the comments because someone will remember.
Probably, probably.
Rob, you're
Someone
going to
pays
be
me.
getting at it now, aren't you?
What don't I always? Don't I
At Rob,
always?
hashtag Ree's always right. Do you know what? Watch me be wrong, and I didn't say it, but there we go.
Oh yeah, let's get the Ria's always right hashtag going again. Yeah, sure, why not? That's my favourite one in the
Please
world.
do. Please do.
Yes.
You'll ransom up. Yeah, anyway.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, the whole thing with her and George. I mean, so she's chucked George out of the Vic, and he's sort of like, "Well, what are you doing, love? Because this is I own half of this place," and she's like, "Well, fairly sure that I can sort that out." So she's trying to basically completely and utterly get the Vic off George.
Yeah.
Phil's giving him Richie, so good luck, Elaine, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, in
Can
it.
we see Richie, please, next week when all this? We haven't
Yeah,
seen
that'd
Richie
be
for
nice.
ages.
Yeah.
Miss Richie.
Interesting.
Yes.
I don't know what shit does. So is it that Linda owns half and then George and Elaine own the other half? So they
Yeah,
own like
so Linda owns half of it, but
quarter each.
yeah, a
So Linda's got
quarter
a
each
majority
essentially.
share.
Yes,
Is
yeah,
it?
which is why
Is
she's
that
able
the,
to. So, yeah,
or is
because
it a
it's
third?
no, I don't
Hmm.
think it is. I think it's half and half with George and Elaine.
Hmm.
But the George and Elaine thing is actually more between them than it is the Vic
Yeah.
business accounts, which is
Yeah.
why Linda is essentially able to turn around and say, "I'm going to sell the Vic," and not a lot you can do about it.
Could she just share? Could she just sell her share though?
She
I guess
could,
Elaine would have to agree to it as well. I don't
yeah,
know.
because at the
This
so
is what I
yeah,
can't.
because essentially what you're doing is that you're bringing in a
Hmm.
completely new partner into the thing, and it's sort of like, "Well, do you want that, mother?"
Yeah,
Because that
yeah,
means it's not
exactly.
going to be your decision. Where are we with Linda?
I
Had a
think
moment
I
this week,
think
didn't
it
she?
I think it makes sense though
I
because given what's happened in the Vic and the fact
yeah.
that Mick's not there anymore and she's been in there a while, and it wouldn't hurt for us to see Linda in a new capacity. I don't know what she'll
Where
be
would she
doing,
go?
but
Where would she?
I
Where would
can't
all of
figure it
them go?
out. I've been trying to think what other job would Linda do. Maybe she could be some kind of counselor or something. I don't know.
Mm.
Maybe I'm trying to think where she would work on the square if it wasn't.
I
Because if
feel
she's
like
leaving the Vic, she's not going to go and work at Harry's Barn or the Albert.
no. I feel like she would be quite good in sort of like taking over the cath or something like that. You know, something that's quite sort of community serving, where she's still like the face of something that the public rely on.
Well, having said that, the comment that Nicola made this week when her and Barney were trying to figure out where to go and ended up on the Walford East, I feel like they were trying to drop in some hints about some of the new set that's coming.
Oh
So maybe Linda's going to go
yes.
somewhere there, perhaps.
Maybe you bring up an
That
excellent
could
point, young Rihanna.
work.
That is very, very good. Well
Thank
done.
you. I'm here all, well, for next hour, yeah,
Yep, try the veal.
with these
Um,
ideas.
yes. So, Linda, see, I loved that scene between her and Johnny this week because actually, as gutted as I am,
I knew
the
you were going to
idea,
say that. When I
I
watched it, I
did.
was like, Rob will be loving this
I
scene.
did. I
Yeah.
thought it was a great scene. I thought it was
Yeah,
really
it
good because
was.
actually, what it did was make total sense. Like, of course, Linda and Mick were the face of that place,
Hmm.
and Linda has tried to sort of live a normal life without Mick and still sort of continue it, and her heart hasn't been in it. and everything that's
Yeah.
sort of fallen out from there. She will see Dean, she'll see Janine, she'll see like everything that went wrong since.
Keanu's murdered body at the
Yeah,
bottom of the stairs, even if they have
you'd want out, wouldn't
redecorated.
you? You'd want
Yeah.
out, and of all the time, and on the top of all of that, even without that, you're an alcoholic and you're working in a pub. That's not going to work long time, love,
No, it were
because you're just
interesting that her
surrounded
and
by
Phil had that
temptation.
scene as well, where she
Yeah,
was talking about it, because Phil obviously did that quite a bit, didn't he? When he were in recovery,
yeah.
were working in the Vic, and
It's
it would be
like
difficult.
it's like saying that I'm going to be celibate for the rest of my life and then going and getting a job working with the Chippendales. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't
Yeah,
work.
yeah, exactly. No, exactly. So it's going to be something without alcohol, which will be new for Linda because it's
Mm.
like she's been in pubs her entire life,
She
hasn't
has,
she?
yeah, 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 she has, yeah.
So interesting. But then, what's Elaine going to do?
Well, there is a bit of a
Well,
theory going
yeah,
around.
I've
Is Elaine
seen
gonna?
this theory.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that she's going to
So,
die over my dead body. I'll be giving you the
there's a lot
Vic.
of
That
that, isn't there?
theory.
There's a lot of that sort of like foreshadowing, foreboding lines going around. She said that twice this week as well over my dead body.
Yes.
I don't know, thank you. I don't want Elaine to die. I
I
love
don't want
Elaine.
Elaine to die, but I've seen a lot of people saying they've had enough for her. I
Do
don't know
you
if
know
that's
what?
given
Yeah,
how
but do you
she's
know what this
been this
is? Yeah, that's what
week.
this is. The main thing is, I mean, so there's people that don't like Elaine full stop, and that's fine because you
Yeah.
can't please everybody all
I
the
weren't
time.
keen at first.
There
I
you
was
go.
really not sure. Now I
Yeah,
love her.
but I feel like a lot of it is the fact that she is, let's be real, a pretty terrible mother.
Yeah, yeah. And the way that she's acted this week, I'm sorry, was uncalled for a
Yeah,
lot
out
of
of
it.
order. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then I don't agree with the fact that she isn't a good character because she isn't a good mother. I feel like
No, I don't.
this is giving her layers. Do you know what I mean? I've said this
Yeah.
all along with Elaine. Like
Yeah.
it's part of her character, the fact that she is much more interested in sorting out aspects of her own life than she is her
Hmm.
daughter. She
Yeah.
accepts and recognizes that she has a role of responsibility in Linda's life. But even during the whole alcoholism thing, it's not like she was incredibly helpful throughout a huge amount of that. And for her to turn around to Linda and say, "Oh, after everything I've done for you," it's sort of like Linda
Yeah.
is quite within her right to turn around and go, "Go on then, shall we have the list? Off you go. Won't take you
Well, I
long."
did. There were a couple of times this week where I thought, I know you're all adults, but you're still her mother. Like
Yeah,
you, yeah, you should look after her in her hour of need. But I mean, let's not forget that Linda was off the rails when she was,
oh,
in her
completely,
alcoholic stuff,
completely.
and Elaine did hold the fort quite a bit. But I totally
Yeah,
get what you're saying as well. Like, I mean, in some ways, it's worse what Elaine's doing there because she's kind of doing it with an awareness, whereas at
yeah,
least Linda were like
yeah.
in such
Linda
a
was not in
bad
the right.
alcoholic,
Yeah,
addictive state that she
yeah.
wasn't in the right mind and doing. But then, arguably, you could say that Elaine's not in the right mind now and she's grieving a
But
relationship with
compare the two.
George.
Compare the two
Yeah,
here. Come on, you've got
yeah,
Linda who lost her husband in a car crash.
yeah.
Essentially, she's been raped. Her rapist came back. She then killed her best friend's husband, and then
When you put it
and
like that, are we talking about a soap or something here?
all while being an alcoholic. So that's all Linda, and Elaine has lost her partner, and not he's not even dead. They've just broken
Yeah,
up.
but Rob,
That's about
to
it.
Elaine, that one thing might feel like there's five things in Elaine. It's all
Apparently so.
perception.
That's what it is.
But I
It's
know what you say.
subjective.
I
Yeah.
totally get. I
But I
totally
think in
get it.
Elaine's
Yeah.
mind, she believes that she has suffered as much as Linda has.
Yeah, probably, probably. And in some ways, she might genuinely feel that in some ways, but also her behaviour this week. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I'm not denying that for a second. But what I would also say is,
Hmm.
given everything that Linda has been through, then killing Elaine off, I think, is too much.
I agree, but I do wonder. I've seen this theory myself, and I'm like, yeah, I have noticed those comments as well. Is she gonna die? How would that happen though?
Who knows? Stress.
Anna. That's why she's gonna leave. There we go.
Well, we'll
No.
talk about potential exits.
Cindy.
We'll talk about an exit in a bit. But
Oh, sorry.
it certainly, that's all right. Certainly seems that all change at the Vic is
Yeah.
coming. Linda essentially
Hmm.
has said that I'm going to sell the Vic. I've had enough. So that brings in the
Well,
new era of the Vic.
and I'm also
Wavy ain't messing
wondering,
around.
are they actually going to lose the license over it? So Elaine's not going to have a choice in the matter?
I mean, well, that would make it a lot easier to sell to in order to say, well, I
Yeah.
guess we better sell the Vic then, because there's no point in us having if we haven't got a license, is there?
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe that's the way that it's going to go. And that's why all this happened with the kids this week.
Yeah, I mean, it is all there is it does kind of feel all a bit sort of like you want it's like, right, that's the end result we want. We want some new people in the Vic, so let's make some stuff happen in order to make that happen. There
Yeah.
is that sort of
Yeah.
vibe about it, but I feel like it is there's nothing wrong with refreshing the Vic a bit, you know, it's sort of like a completely new era for it. Linda has been in there for 11
11
years.
years.
I think second longest landlady, I think, after Peggy.
Wow. Yeah.
I
I mean, she's had a
think.
couple of breaks in between, hasn't she?
Yeah,
Where she went to go and live with Elaine for a
yeah.
bit. But,
Yeah, but it's been basically under Carter
well,
rule for most of that time, hasn't it? So it's
yeah.
apart from when Sharon and Ian had it for a bit.
Yeah.
So it's
As
maybe
far as
time.
I mean, we've seen this. Is it a spoiler or is it a rumor? Nino, just in case about who's going to take it. We
Nina
mentioned it.
question mark.
Yeah, question mark.
Nina,
Is
Nina.
it Cat? Is Cat going to take it?
I think it's
You
not been confirmed.
think?
It's not been confirmed. I don't understand why Kat would have it at this point. Can I just say there's nothing that suggests that
No.
Kat even has
I
her eye
guess
remotely interested
I
in
guess
Vic
she
at the
could
moment.
technically afford it though, because like we're led to believe Cat's Cabs is doing really well and stuff.
Yeah, but
So,
how well is a cab business really going to be doing in
but she
terms
got
of
some. She got some off Phil though as well,
she
didn't she?
did?
In divorce.
And I feel like when because she went to Phil a few weeks back and said, I think she only got some of that, didn't she? She didn't get it
Yeah.
all in one go, did she? So she still got more coming
No.
to her.
Possibly.
Yeah,
And she made a big point of saying she helped him out a lot when they were
yeah,
married in his
yeah.
businesses and
So
stuff. And they've had a very amicable divorce, those two.
on the
He's been
whole, yeah,
very like, yeah, fine, have that. Yeah,
yeah.
that's your off, you
Leave
know.
Phil in. Oh, do you know what? I'd quite like Phil in charge of the cab office. That would be nice because I think they would quite suit him.
Yeah, it would actually. Yeah, you
That would
could
quite
see
suit
that.
Phil. I could see that working. That'd
Yeah.
be quite nice. Phil
Yeah,
like
because
just
in
takes over that
fairness,
buys that
what
business off
has
Cat.
what has Phil got at the minute? He ain't got the garage anymore, has he?
He's not in
Has
charge of
he?
the Archers anymore. No, that's sort of
No.
Harry's domain now, isn't it? So yeah, I think it'd be quite.
But
I
just
mean,
yeah.
yeah, I think that
Or
would work
again,
quite
one of the new
nicely.
businesses that's come in. I'm thinking, are they doing a food hall, by the way? Because I'm thinking Linda would suit a food hall because it's kind of
Yeah.
like a pub, but with a lot less
This is
alcohol
what, yeah,
involved.
I think something in the sort of catering slash hospitality
Yeah.
industry would suit
Yeah.
Linda very well.
Restaurant.
Yeah, yeah. So
Walford
there's
Eats
options. But
manager.
then again, if Elaine doesn't die, where does Elaine go? Are they going to just start a new business altogether? Where does
I mean,
George go? Essentially, there's a lot.
Elaine would have suited the Albert, in my
She would have
opinion,
done. Yeah, she
wouldn't
would have done.
she?
Yeah, I mean,
But
to be honest with you,
obviously,
I can't see Cindy having the Albert long term. I don't think that's a long term arrangement.
well, she would never give it to Elaine
She wouldn't give it
or
to Elaine,
even
but then
sell it to her. Or
Kathy would never have willingly given it to Cindy. To be fair,
true,
would she?
true.
So
Maybe there's something to be had there.
mm,
Interesting.
it feels like there's going to be a bit of chess pieces moving around over the next few weeks. I think like Ben Wadey's coming in, he's got quite a specific sort of look as to what he wants the businesses in the square to look like.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm
Interesting.
enjoying it so far. I've got
Yeah,
faith.
so far so
Like
good.
so far, it's still early days, but so
Yeah.
far,
I won't lie, I'm not overly thrilled that Ben's coming back, but other than that, I'm okay with
you
I'm
had to shove
okay.
that in there. You're
Yeah,
digging your own grave there, Rob.
oh, bring that on. I don't care. But you know,
Well,
he might come
whatever. It
back.
is
He
what
might
it
come back, and I might
is.
like him again. Do you know what I mean? I feel like my main issue with Ben was just the suffocation of the show because it was
I
all about
haven't
Ben.
missed
But
him. That's all I'll
no,
say. I haven't missed him, but
no,
then give Callum a purpose.
yeah,
So
exactly. But I
yeah,
don't know.
there we
We'll
go.
see what happens. But let us know in the comment section, ladies and gents. Where do you think people are going? It feels like everybody's moving around a little bit.
Mm.
And let us know what you think. And what about these new businesses, as Reece so wisely brought up? Do you think people are going to be going to them? There's a rival garage apparently in there somewhere as well.
For Phil.
I can see Ben and Harry doing that. To be fair, that seems like quite a Mitchelly
I
thing
feel
to
like
do,
Ben
isn't it?
still owns a bit of the garage though. I feel like he still owns the
Oh, he's going to come back and
some of
instantly
it.
try. He's going to come back, and him and Harry are going to be like deadly enemies, aren't they?
Sworn enemies, yeah,
Yeah, of course they
maybe.
are. Of course they are.
The two
Yeah,
gay. Oh no, Harry's not
not
gay. Sorry, that
gay.
was just a
He's not
look
gay.
that he gave.
Yes, it was a look he saw when he. Oh, my mate's back, and was very happy about it. That's all that was, really. That's all it was.
You were right. I'll give you that. See, your
Rob's
observation.
always right. Rob's
Let's not push it,
hashtag
Rob. Let's not push it.
once in a blue moon. Rob is right. There you go. Gold star this week, Ray.
I'm trying to think of my gold star. I can't. I don't. I'm torn between. Do I want to give it to Linda? No, I'm going to give it to Barney for facing up to reality. I think not reality,
Okay.
but you know what I mean. For
Yeah,
having the mature
yeah.
approach to a
Absolutely.
situation. Barney.
Yeah, fair play.
Barney. There we go.
And I will give mine to Linda because I
There we
really,
go.
I did enjoy Linda
Yeah.
this week, and that scene between her and Johnny was really, really nice. And I thought Paddy Blight
Yeah.
played it beautifully. So
She
there
always
we
does.
go. Final section of the podcast, ladies and gents, as usual, is a little bit of news and some comments from you. Right then, before we go much further, we must discuss some schedule changes. Summer arrives and sport arrives, and that means that the schedules get thrown all out of whack.
Boo sport.
Oh, I mean, for
Sorry.
people who care about sport, I'm sure that's much, but you know,
Yeah, fair play.
it's not my bag. I have to say, Wimbledon, Wimbledon, I could not care less about. Do you know what I mean? My mum's obsessed with it. I think tennis is one of the most boring sports to watch in the world. Myself, I'd rather
I
watch a game
know.
of golf, quite frankly, than I would tennis. But that's just me.
No, you
No, I
wouldn't.
wouldn't. So you're
My
quite
partner
right.
is obsessed with golf, and I can tell you I'd rather watch Wimbledon anyway
Yeah, I mean, all in all, I'd rather rip my own eyeballs out. But you know,
than
it's
either of them.
exactly. So, but for the next 2 weeks, buckle in because some quite dramatic schedule changes have occurred over the next fortnight. Next week, Monday and Tuesday are the only days when EastEnders is going to be on for a double bill on each day on BBC Two. Okay, so
What? Whoa, whoa,
yes,
whoa, 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 whoa,
madness,
whoa.
madness. Monday and Monday, so 7 o'clock and 7:30 on BBC Two. It's a double bill of EastEnders, and then the same for Tuesday, 7 o'clock and 7:30, double bill for the other 2 episodes of the week, and that's it.
Are they being uploaded to iPlayer still in the morning?
I don't know. They haven't announced that yet, but all I'm saying is that all
Fair.
the on the TV, I don't know. I don't know. Is the thing, but the TV schedule at the very least, they haven't said what they're doing about iPlayer, but that's your schedule for next week, and then the following week is even madder. So there's not another episode of EastEnders. Bearing in mind, double bill Monday and Tuesday. There is then not another episode of EastEnders on until the following Wednesday at 8 o'clock on BBC One for another double bill. So 8 o'clock and 8:30, and then there's another episode on the next day on the Thursday at 7 o'clock, and then Friday at 7 o'clock for the other 2 episodes.
Well,
Madness. What are we gonna do?
let's hope that they're still being uploaded to iPlayer though,
Yeah. I mean, I would
as
have thought
normal.
so. I would have thought so.
Thing,
What
unless it's like a special.
I mean, we're just going to have to watch the episode on an early upload on Friday and then do the pod straight after that, aren't we?
Thanks, EastEnders,
Cheers,
BBC. In
Wimbledon.
fact, thanks, Wimbledon.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Wimbledon.
that, Wimbledon. Anyway, well, at least next week should be easy enough. But that
Yeah,
sucks as well, anyway,
it's
because then
eight
you're like,
days.
because we're obviously gonna binge watch them when we're out and
Yeah,
not
of
like
course
when
we
they're
are.
out and not save them, and then
Of
we've
course
not
we
got
are.
anything for a week.
Exactly, and it is over a week until the next
But
episode. Then
I'm sorry, Wimbledon, right? I know that you want the year and all that jazz, but this affects people's daily
I
routines. You know,
know
it affects our
they don't
lives.
think about us as podcasters when they're doing things like this, do
No,
they?
well,
Honestly,
and viewers, it affects everyone's
exactly.
routines. Anyway, there
So,
we go.
just in summation, the 30th and the 1st of this month, no, the 30th of June, Monday, BBC Two, 7 o'clock and 7:30. The next day, which is the 1st of July, Tuesday, 7 o'clock and 7:30 on BBC Two, and that's it for the week until the Wednesday, 9th of July, which is Wednesday, BBC One at 8 o'clock, and then followed by another episode at 8:30, and then the next day, Thursday, 7 o'clock. Next day, Friday, 7 o'clock, all on BBC One that week. So there you
Wow.
go. The ratings are going to be a mess for the next 2 weeks. Essentially, you know they are.
Yeah, well, there you go. Poor Ben Wadey as well, coming
I
into all
know it's
these
not his fault.
disruptions.
Not his fault.
Nah,
But there you go. So we'll have to arrange privately what we're doing with the podcast recording over the next couple of weeks. But that's our problem, not yours.
yeah.
Meanwhile, bit of news. We called it. Really, I have to say, we did say this might happen. Anna's gone.
Yeah.
And this does seem to be, well, they framed it in the papers as saying it was a mutual decision.
Yes, I've seen that, yeah. Fair enough,
Yeah,
it may well have been.
it may have
Can
been,
believe that.
but Freddie and Anna both going in and saying, well, I think it's time for me to move on anyway. Just as Ben Wadey apparently has a good storyline idea for them that would facilitate their exit. Make your own conclusions.
Oh,
However,
true.
I feel like Freddie and Anna are just going to leave together now, then, aren't they?
You think, yeah,
I
maybe they're
think,
going to just say we want a fresh start
yeah,
away from Gina.
yeah. I could see just a
Our
happy
chestnut.
ending. I feel like it's just a happy ending for those two, really. They can just go off and do bird watching in.
Yeah, but then they said that there's a big storyline for Freddie, so what would it be?
Don't know. I mean, it's not going to be for a while yet. I feel like
She's
it's
not
probably
going to
not.
get, because you don't think she's going to get pregnant again? No, because it wouldn't make sense for her to go away if she was, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. So, I mean,
No.
all of this obviously it kind of works quite well with the Knights not being in the Vic anymore, but hey, I don't know. It's just I can see 100% Freddie and Anna will leave together, and I can see them
Yeah.
having a fairly sort of light-hearted, harmless exit as
Yeah.
well. I feel like they're both going to go off to Malaysia or something like that. That's their
Yeah, go
sort of vibe,
traveling and
innit?
find
Yeah,
themselves or something,
yeah,
go bird watching.
yeah, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or look at some birds of paradise or something, and then
Mm.
that'll be Anna and Freddie. That's my guess.
Yeah, I can see that. Why not?
Hey, fair play to him. Good luck to Molly Rainford, bless her. But
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go. End of Anna. I feel like, it's not going to absolutely break the show, Anna leaving, really, is it?
No, she's done some quite big things while she was there.
It's
Like
been
she
all
did
right.
the whole interactive episode and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
good luck to you.
Good luck to you, love. Good luck to you. So we had an email, didn't we, Ray?
We've got an email from Talking Walford who says, "Hi guys, no idea if you filmed tomorrow's episode. Guessing you probably have. We hadn't actually. We're doing it now. But a question for you both: what do you think to Rita Simons quitting Hollyoaks and Sam Womack saying she'd be up for returning to EastEnders with her if the story was told right? Feels like it could actually be happening." I mean, first thought when I saw when I saw Rita Simon
Back from the
say she
dead.
was leaving Hollyoaks,
Yes.
that was my first thought because I had seen the Sam Womack thing as well. And I'm
Mm.
like, oh,
I mean, why has she left Hollyoaks? Is my first question. Yes, she has said, it's
well,
time to move on. But you know
she's
what?
also said she wants to she just said, "Oh, I've enjoyed Liverpool, but I want to move back to London."
Do you
What
now? Do
to
you
go back
now?
to EastEnders maybe?
Okay, so we may be in the realms of fantasy a bit at the minute, Roo, but the idea of just completely and utterly reversing the Ronnie and Roxy death, if we were talking about it from a serious perspective, what do you think? Would it feel all right to you? Would you be bothered?
Absolutely. Like, yeah, 100%. Did we see him die on screen? A little
We saw
bit.
him a little bit. We saw him floating in the river, and then we did see Ronnie's body in the cemetery. No, not in the
Did we
cemetery. We
actually?
saw.
No,
Well,
in
they
a
went.
coffin.
Yeah, I think Jack went to identify her body, and we saw it then. We never saw Roxy.
But Jack could be in on it. But Jack could be in on
See,
it.
the thing is, with Ronnie and Roxy, the fans very quickly came up with multiple theories as to how they could have faked their.
Honestly,
Yeah,
Roxy was on the hardcore cocaine at the time,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So she got into some trouble with the drug
yeah,
dealers. They had to fake their own death.
yeah. Ronnie had that whole thing
Roxy
with Carl
explained it.
White.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. See,
There's
Ronnie could
ways.
have explained it to Jack so that he could identify the body and be in on it for all we know, as long as you two are safe. Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
And the Mitchells got over that incredibly quickly at the time, if you
Yeah.
remember.
And was Billy the funeral
Yeah,
director at the
he
time?
was.
Sorry.
So
Totally.
there's ways and
Just do
means.
it. Just do it, Weirdo. Just do it.
Where do you think? Okay, but like talking about it from, if we're talking about this totally seriously,
Mm.
what do you think? I mean, we've not long had Cindy brought back from the dead.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so where do you kind of sit on the whole sort of like, does it risk kind of like messing with a little bit with the realism of the show a little bit? Is it a bit
Constantly
too
doing it.
far? Yeah. What do you
All I'm
think?
going to say is make these the last two that you bring back from the dead, and I'll be happy. Don't do it again. If I'm being totally honest, and I was saying this from an unbiased thing because I really want Roxy and Ronnie back, I
Mm.
would say it is probably a bit too ridiculous, and that they can't keep doing it to characters. But I love Ronnie and Roxy, so bring it on for me.
This is the thing. I think that the killing of Ronnie and Roxy, on the whole, is seen by fans of the show as one of the worst decisions the show ever made.
100, like I dare say the worst.
Well,
I'm at,
you can throw in things like killing Pat off and
Pat. I
killing
was just
Abby.
thinking the Pat
Pat and
thing there. To be
Abby, I
fair, when
think
I
were
said
two.
it,
Pat and Abby, I think, are
yeah,
up there. Possibly
true.
Stephen as well, but then a lot of that was Sean O'Connor.
But
Um,
also, so let's say you would comparing the Abby to Ronnie and
mm,
Roxy.
I mean,
I did
there's no.
like Abby, but I'd prefer Ronnie and Roxy to come back,
Oh,
and at least
well,
it'd be a bit more believable
I
in
don't think
some
there's no
ways.
universe that you could bring Abby back because we very
Well, no, we
blatantly saw
literally
her die.
saw
We
her. Yeah,
saw her
yeah,
die, so that's not
yeah,
going to happen. And
yeah,
whatever. Um, and the same with Pat. She literally died from
yeah,
cancer
yeah,
in front of our very eyes, and that's not
yeah.
going to happen. Ronnie and Roxy, I feel like especially given Ronnie's character history, she is again a bit like Cindy, the sort of like mad person that something like that could happen to,
I
and
agree.
I feel like if they went into it properly and threw all their effort in making their return and the reason for them faking their death as realistic as possible, maybe give us some flashbacks as to how they made
Yeah.
it happen. You know,
That'd be good. I'd be
that would
there
be
for
good.
that, yeah.
I feel like there's ways and means that they could make it work. Yes, you are pushing reality just a little bit, and does
Yeah.
it sort of make EastEnders, which has always been one of the most grounded of soaps. You know,
Yeah.
Hollyoaks have literally just brought somebody back who we literally just saw die. Claire from Hollyoaks
Oh,
is
yeah, yeah,
literally,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and apparently she was literally seen run over by a car and was pronounced dead at the scene. But
Yeah, I do vaguely remember that, yeah.
you know, but
Never
whatever.
watched it.
That's not what this is.
No.
There are ways and
Well,
means that you could
the thing
potentially bring
is,
in
we're saying
sisters.
so they brought Kathy back and they brought Cindy back and they
Yeah,
brought Dirty Den back. That were a big shock with Dirty Den at the
yeah,
time.
yeah. Again, never
Kathy
saw
and
Dan's body.
Cindy,
Yeah,
but this is it. And with Kathy and Cindy, they were both dead off screen.
yeah.
This would be the first time that we half saw somebody
Yes.
actually die on screen that they've
Yeah.
done it,
Yeah, it
which to me
would.
is a bit different.
Yeah,
With the Kathy and
100%.
Cindy thing, it got explained away quite well that they basically
Yeah.
had to go into hiding,
Yeah.
the both of them for different
Cindy's
reasons.
story did make sense, to be fair, I think, as well, didn't it?
Yeah,
Like
I think they played it out well, to be
it was
honest.
realistic. Well, not realistic,
Yeah,
but you know what? It's realistic as it could possibly be, I think. It was
yeah.
believable.
I agree. I agree. And that she had this secret life in my.
Yeah.
Ronnie and Rock. I think they could make it work, but then I think you would have to stop after that and not bring any more back.
But the thing is that who else could you do that to? I feel like they've basically done it to everybody that they could theoretically do it to, right? Because everybody else will have. Can't think of anybody
Like
else that's
Martin, but you couldn't do it to Martin.
again, Martin, we saw literally die on screen. Like, so,
Kush. Couldn't do
but
it to
then
Kush.
no, except mind you, Kush, you could say that Kush fell into one of those little pits that they have on
Crawled
the
under the
underground.
thing.
Yeah, and then just sort of decided, well, there's a serial killer after me. I'm gonna leg it for a
Yeah.
bit. Um, Let us know in the comments. I mean, we could be completely in the realm of fantasy here and sort of pleading, but you know what? Most of the reaction I see online to the idea of bringing the sisters back is sort of like, we genuinely don't care that it would be silly.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Same. Just
It
do it.
was a
Yeah, we're not
huge
bothered how it
mistake.
happens. Do it. I
Yeah,
agree. Yeah.
it was a huge mistake to do it in the first place. Arguably, you could say Ronnie, especially, needed a break because she was
Hmm.
becoming like so like her storylines were getting madder and madder and madder, weren't they? So she
Yeah.
did need to sort of step away and be a bit more of a normal person for a bit. Killing her off was a ridiculous idea, and I think many people will just die on that hill. Like, just
Yeah.
ridiculous to do that, especially as heartlessly as she did it as well. You know, and I feel like it would actually be quite a good finger up to the story itself to just bring them back as well.
I I agree. So fingers crossed.
Hey, let's see what happens. But let us know what you think of the idea of bringing the sisters back full time. You can do that by doing the following.
You can find us on Facebook at Albert Square After Dark, on Twitter and Instagram at E20 After Dark. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple and wherever you find your podcasts. Drop us an email at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by going on buymeacoffee.com/E20 After Dark.
Yes, you can indeed. Did you just do that off by heart for the first time?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, you were reading it.
Yeah, I just changed a little bit.
Oh, I
Just changed
see. Yeah, I
tweaked a
thought
little
you
bit.
just riffing. I thought you were being confident with it and riffing it, all
Yeah,
that sort
sorry,
of thing.
Rob. Still need my prompt.
Yes. Next week's pod, we'll see what they're doing with the uploads to see what we do, but we'll let you know
Well,
if there's any. Are we
should
just
still
gonna?
be the same time next week, 'cause it's
Are
just
we
Monday
just
and
gonna?
Tuesday next
Yeah. Are
week.
we just gonna record on the same time next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
Unless we
should.
do somehow make it work. But I think
Yeah.
just because Wimbledon's changing everyone
Yeah.
else's lives, we
Yeah.
don't
It
need
doesn't
to
need to
do
change
that.
our lives. We're independent, Wimbledon.
Everyone's gonna be
God.
like, no, release it earlier. We need some
Yeah,
kind
they
of
will.
fix.
Now we've
Yeah,
said
but
that.
we bang halfway in between there.
True.
So
True.
yeah,
Expect the same time next week, ladies and gents.
yeah,
Although on
definitely.
time next week. But until then, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye for me.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.